Hey kids!
Hey guys.
Why do you look so tired today?
Paris.
The capital of France, Paris is known for its fashion, its art, and its architecture. Since the Parisi tribe settled the area over 2,300 years ago, the city has become the home to some of the most visited sites in the world, and a hub of enlightenment and ideas. Unlike the provincial calm of the rest of France, Paris is a busy metropolis where there's always something new to do or see.
Unfortunately, it's real expensive, so we decided we wouldn't stay too long.
How long?
We tried to cram it all into one day.
It's a beautiful day, I'm running away. Don't bother to Facebook, message or call me, 'cause I'm living life in airplane mode and everything is okay. I just wanna play, unplug for the day and live in the moment, 'cause I'm living life in airplane mode, yeah.
It's morning in Paris, and the city awakes to the bells of Notre Dame. Well, not really, but what better place to go in the morning? The cathedral is located on the Ile de la Cité, a small island of residential houses in the middle of the river Seine. It was first built in the 12th century, but the famous bell towers weren't completed for almost 90 years.
The Notre Dame Cathedral is positively a waterfall of brilliance. There are so many turns and twists in the architecture, especially on the gargoyles on the roof. On its Gothic exterior, the eyes of the saints and the gargoyles look down as you walk up to the cathedral. Detailed carvings decorate the walls all the way up to the two towers.
If ever you visit a place, you should make sure that you touch it. You can always see pictures on the internet. You can always read about the detail. But if you're allowed to, make sure you take the opportunity to feel it beneath your fingers. So smooth.
Inside, the cathedral is just as grand. Even the two rose windows to the north and south have a 62-foot diameter. It's very easy to feel dwarfed by the sheer scale of the building. If you want to reach the top of the bell towers, you have to climb a 387-step spiral staircase.
When you get to the top, will you see Quasimodo ringing the bells?
No, Grandpa, they're all mechanized now.
You mean that poor bell ringer is out of a job?
Hey, he could become a detective. No matter what the case, he'd always have a hunch.
Directly behind Notre Dame is a modern Parisian site.
This is Padlock Bridge. A lot of couples will put a lock around this railing with their names written on it, and maybe something else sentimental about it. Unfortunately, some couples don't last forever.
But don't worry, your lock will stay here until the next time the city chops them all off. Many people of the city think the locks are ugly and that they ruin the atmosphere, but that never stops people from adding their own lock to the mix.
Next, we went to the most famous site in all of Paris. It was pretty far away, but after walking a bit, we arrived at the Eiffel
Wait!
Tower.
That's not the best place to go for the best view of Paris.
What are you talking about?
If you want the best view of Paris, then you have to go to
Tour Montparnasse. You may think the best view of Paris is from the Eiffel Tower, but that's not true anymore. The best view is from way up here.
Looking down from Tour Montparnasse, you can see for miles over the streets of Paris, including the Eiffel Tower.
After all, if you're in the Eiffel Tower, how are you supposed to see it?
I suppose that's true.
Of course it is.
The tower has 2 viewing levels, with one on the roof. Using binoculars, it's not hard to see some of Paris's best landmarks.
The only drawback to this building is when you're not on top of it, it sticks out in the city like a sore thumb.
There are no other skyscrapers near Tour Montparnasse, and since it's so close to the Eiffel Tower, there's no doubt that this ugly black rectangle will appear in the background of several of your pictures.
So, after that little diversion, we finally headed to the Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel Tower is the most famous site in Paris, but when it was built, it was very controversial. So hated was the tower that a committee of 300 artists, headed by architect Charles Garnier, petitioned against it. We writers, painters, sculptors, architects, and passionate devotees of the hitherto untouched beauty of Paris protest with all our strength, with all our indignation, in the name of slighted French taste, against the erection of this useless and monstrous Eiffel Tower. To bring our arguments home, imagine for a moment a giddy, ridiculous tower dominating Paris like a gigantic black smokestack, crushing under its barbaric bulk Notre Dame, the Tour Saint-Jacques, the Louvre, the Dome of Les Invalides, the Arc de Triomphe. All of our humiliated monuments will disappear in this ghastly dream. The tower was built anyway, and though it was originally erected for the 1889 World Fair, it became such a symbol for the Parisian people that it was kept. It's not until you get close that you realize just how big the tower truly is. Over 6 million people visit the tower each year, making it the most visited monument in the world.
You know, another reason the tower wasn't torn down was because it proved to be so useful as a radio antenna. It's true, in 1909 they built an underground radio center and it's still there.
You mean I could watch TV broadcast from the Eiffel Tower?
Only in Paris. Regardless, I'm so glad they didn't tear it down. Do you know how much care and precise calculation went into each and every one of 18,038 pieces of that construction?
Hey, if you love the Eiffel Tower so much, why don't you marry it?
Oh, someone's already beaten me to that.
What? Crazy talk. Imagine being married to an object.
I married you, didn't I?
Close to the Eiffel Tower is another famous landmark.
You may be wondering what this is. I'll tell you. There's a triomphe.
The Arc de Triomphe is so big that in 1919 a man flew a plane through it. It stands in the center of Place Charles de Gaulle, with 8 lanes of traffic driving around it. If you're driving in Paris, try to avoid this place as much as you can.
That is my favorite Arch of Triumph.
I don't like how dangerous the traffic is around it nowadays.
True, but little do they know, they're driving around the tomb of the unknown soldier. Beneath there is a single unidentified body from World War I, and the eternal flame above represents all the bodies that were unidentified in both World Wars.
Oh, I know, dear.
Yes, and you see how big it was? The whole monument, all those sculptures, and the ceiling inside. I just wanted to reach up and play checkers with those flowers.
If you love the Arc de Triomphe so much, why don't you just marry it?
And divorce you? Good idea!
A hop, skip, and a jump across the city on the metro, and we were at our last destination of the day. Sacré-Cœur Basilica is located at the summit of Montmartre, the highest point in the city.
Some of you might recall the movie Amélie. Sacré-Cœur is in that movie, but you don't actually see the building. In the movie, these steps appear. Amélie is down here in a phone booth, which isn't here either. She uses his phone booth to trick her love interest into going all the way to the top. When he gets there, she's down here putting his book back into his bike sack. It's a pretty good movie.
Sacré-Cœur is also the perfect place to watch the sun go down on Paris and see the lights come on across the city.
Not bad for just one day.
I'm glad you got so much out of a short visit.
Me too. You know, with all the hype the world gives Paris, I was secretly worried that I'd come away feeling it was overrated or too touristy.
And do you feel that way now?
No. I mean, there were a lot of tourists, but the city itself impressed me historically and scenically, and the people were just part of the atmosphere. I deem this city worthwhile to fellow travelers.
It is what you make of it, kiddo.
I'm glad you're not as pessimistic as your grandfather. You go get some rest before your big day of travel tomorrow. You have a plan, yes?
Mm-hmm. Smoofer's got it all figured out. Night-night.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Wait, they didn't go to the Louvre? What's wrong with these kids? How can you go to Paris and not visit the world's most visited museum?
It's huge. It would have taken up most of their only day there.
But the Mona Lisa!
Now that is an example of what's overrated.
And you call me a pessimist?